Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kloy, and this is the first iteration of the KloyCast. Woo! And I joining me today is Sea Salt Moses.
Sea Salt Moses.
Yes, sir. So Sea Salt Moses, I don't know anything about you.
No, nothing.
So,
Introduction?
yeah, why don't you tell me something about your? I mean, I want to actually. So, what does your name mean? The Sea Salt Moses name. What does that mean?
Okay, so I used to drive my car, and my friend would drink in the passenger seat. And then
Are you serious?
Yeah.
It's not illegal.
Yeah. Well, it's
Okay.
like it's not morally a problem. It's just like a legal problem, you know?
Okay.
So, he was drunk and he said something to me that was slurred, and I didn't hear what he said. And I said, "Did you just say Sea Salt Moses?" And he said, "No," but it's just that's where it came from.
Right.
It was just like a misunderstanding.
So, what did he say in actuality?
I have no clue. He just like Sea Salt Moses, just like grumbled something to me
Oh shit!
drunkenly.
Wow, what a guy.
Yeah, it was fun.
That's yeah. I mean, Sea Salt Moses is a really good name. Like it feels like it has a lot of creative weight associated with it. You know?
Yeah, that's like when
It's
I
like
heard.
a really good name. I like it.
I heard it like 4 years ago, and I was like, I'm holding on to that forever.
Yeah,
went-
yeah. That's a lifetime keeper name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank God.
I went to a party in Halifax, and like everybody at the party was like, "Yo, yeah!" Like there was a sick. They're all so
Oh, yeah?
so excited. Yeah,
They like the name of Sea Salt Moses.
yeah. They were like, what Sea Salt Moses?" Like, yeah. It's like this guy's name is Sea Salt Moses, and he was like, everyone was like really excited about it, and I was like,
Well, just wait till they hear your real name, which is a secret. But it's a good name.
unguessable.
Exactly. It rhymes with the Joe Rogan experience, though. That's all we're gonna give away,
Yeah.
right? Okay, yeah, that's cool, man. And yeah, so I heard you make YouTube videos as well.
Yes.
So what's that all about?
Just starting out making philosophy-esque videos, talking about stuff.
Nice.
Basically, right now.
That's good.
I can't really describe it, but I have a new show starting in January.
Okay.
Yeah. New thing. Something consistent. It's going to be honestly, I don't want to talk about it too much. I mean, like, I don't know. See, I can't pretend I have like nothing I say has weight to it
Right.
on the internet, so I can't be like, "Oh, it's a secret," because it like doesn't matter. It's
Well, I
inconsequential.
mean, you could. I mean, that's kind of how you blow up, right?
Keep things secret.
Keep things secret. You post on your Insta stories, and is that you're like, that you're up to something and something
Big
big
things
is coming.
Big things
Exactly.
coming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's how you do it. You do that for 5 or 10 years, and eventually someone really famous picks you up because you're like, well, I mean, who would do that that whole time without actually having anything to back it up? You
Yeah.
know, like it doesn't make any sense. Why would you?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that strategy, you should definitely use that strategy. I think it's a good idea.
Fake it till you make it.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
it
Just
is-
don't post anything. Just always be up to the grind that's I think
In the
I think it's-
background.
I think it's good.
Okay.
But yeah, man, that's cool that you make philosophy videos because I don't know if you know anything about my channel. I don't mean to brag, guys, but I also make philosophy-esque videos. Are you impressed?
Philosophy-esque videos.
Are you impressed?
I feel like you know more about philosophy than I do.
No.
I feel like
You actually read books. I don't read books.
See, is there anything to know?
What does that mean? I don't even know what that means.
Exactly.
Is there anything to know? You know what? There's a question in philosophy that I never really quite understood,
Yeah.
and it's literally like, what is? I think that's the question.
What is?
What is? Like, what do you mean? What is? Like, what is that? You're pointing at something. You're referring to something. What is that? You're trying to define that. Okay.
Yeah.
But if you just say what is, what does that mean? Like, you can say what is, and you're like, what is, what does that even mean? But the question what is, Like, I'm sure there's an explanation for it. I just intuitively, my mind cannot wrap
like
a hand around it.
like just like linguistically, like what it means.
I just have no idea what that means. You know, I've always wondered.
What is?
And then you have the.
Like what's real? Like what is?
No, the question is literally just what is.
Well, I'd say is the question asking like what is, and then someone in response would like list off everything that is something.
I guess. Is that how you interpret the question?
That's how
that's probably a pretty good way of interpreting it.
That's how
I don't know. It's probably a way to interpret it.
So yeah, it's just like language fun, you know?
Yeah.
That's like the thing with philosophy.
Yeah, that's what you mean, man.
Yeah. It's like how much of philosophy is just like fun words.
Yeah, I know, man. Yeah, no, there's this. I've been really thinking about this concept of like anti-philosophy, just like oppositional philosophy, and I've been making videos about it, like just like me, like just destroying just like shitting on a bunch of philosophers. But I think there actually there's a lot of room to actually like a lot of like actual critique you can employ against philosophy, like philosophical ideas against philosophy.
Yeah.
Like the idea like that philosophy is just like a language game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of the thing. And you have this like, I don't know, it's kind of funny because you have a lot of philosophers who are just writing things and they have this like whole vibe of themselves as like uncovering like this like great truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think it's fine to do philosophy, it's the same as anything else, but it's just like this whole vibe of like they're uncovering like a great truth, but in reality it's all a language game. I don't know. I mean maybe it objectively is valuable. Who knows? Like maybe what they discover, despite it being a language game, has other value, like functional value.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, or maybe not even functional value, but maybe if you read it, you'll have some realizations. I have no idea. Maybe it's...
Well, like, okay, who's a philosopher
sure.
you haven't... Like, just name a philosopher that you know exists, but, like, you don't know anything about, right?
I don't know anything about... I barely know anything about Heidegger.
Heidegger.
Yeah.
Right, neither do I. I know nothing about Heidegger.
Yeah.
I know he, like, supported the Nazi party. That's all I know.
He does?
He endorsed them.
Oh. Guess we're gonna have to cut this podcast short, guys. Can't be talking about a guy who endorsed Hitler. Heidegger, Jesus, what a guy. I know he did this thing about this like ontic and ontology. I know like I read a Wikipedia page about him once, and I know he's very influential in a lot of other ways.
Yeah,
but I just never got into him. There's a lot of philosophers that I never got into.
Well, I guess just Heidegger for an example, like you ask yourself, like, what am I missing in my own life that would give me, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, what's even the point of undertaking the project of like reading Heidegger?
Yeah.
Except to have him in context to other philosophers.
Yeah.
But then and then again, it's all within like the Western canon of philosophy, right?
Well, if you look at even just philosophy as a whole, it's within the canon of philosophy as a whole.
Yeah.
How does that contribute? Like, that's the question. How does that contribute to anything? What is that? Is that your phone or my phone?
No, that's your computer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Am I being called here? Yo, can you
Is it very
Chrome. Accept. Yo. Yo.
Yo.
How's it going? How's it going?
Yo.
Maybe the mic's not on.
What's up?
How's it going?
This is Max.
Yes.
Max, you sound a little different.
What do you mean?
You sound like a different person, Max.
Yo, you called while we're filming our podcast thing.
Oh, I was gonna. Okay, I'll keep it brief. I just wanted to let you know this podcast should have me on it.
Why?
Because I am JrEg. I have over 100 subscribers on YouTube.
Wait, are you serious? Why don't you tell me this?
I'm actually calling to let you know that.
Why don't we just exploit you for content, for views?
You should put me in the thumbnail. Put me in the title and thumbnail of this video, even though I only appear as a phone call.
What the fuck? Yo, why don't you ever tell me you're famous, man?
Yeah. I kind of live like a little double life.
Jesus. Man, this is awkward because now it's like now.
Desperately vital information. I don't mean to be hijacking your little podcast.
Little. This guy says little. All right, you know what? If you think you're so big and cool, then you can just let us exploit you then.
Is Brogan there? Hello, Brogan.
Brogan's here, but you gotta. I don't know if. Yeah, Brogan, talk
Brogan's
to.
not saying a word.
Yo, what's up?
Brogan.
Hey.
Keep it up, man. Keep up the grind.
Yeah.
Keep up the hustle.
Yeah.
I see you sweating. I see you.
This is going on the podcast, Greg. You hope you realize that this is going.
That's why I.
Maybe I'll just censor whatever you set out. So it's
Yeah,
fine.
you could do that.
Yeah, that's fine.
But what I was going to say, Max, is that the Airbnb guy wouldn't accept my request because he says you have no information on your profile, no reviews, and provide no information in your request. So I think you might have to do the Airbnb request.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, all good. All right, cool. Yeah, no worries. All right.
All right.
I'll talk to you later. Ciao.
Sorry for interrupting your podcast.
No, that was cool. That was cool. That was.
I'm gonna skip right to where I am, and then that's the only part of it I'm gonna listen to.
All right, Greg. Okay, this is going to be a massive cut, and I'm going to just cut back to this part of a conversation where I'm just going to get really angry at you. All right, Greg. All right, Dreg. I can't believe you did this. I didn't know you were famous, and now you told me you were famous, and now you have decided to call us in the middle of the podcast and call our podcast a tiny thing. I think I'm not going to talk to you ever again. I think that was it. That was a nail in the coffin. And, yeah, you can just go away. That was good.
Yeah.
All right, bye.
Bye.
All right, sorry for the interruptions, guys. Yeah, that was uncalled for. Anyways, what were we talking about?
How useless philosophy is.
Yeah. Yeah, so philosophy, I don't know, man.
Useless is a strong word.
I mean, what we're doing right now is we're engaging in philosophy. That's the other thing.
Yeah. Okay, I guess the canon of philosophy, reading the people, then being able to talk about them.
Just the vibe of philosophy.
Yeah.
There's this whole vibe of philosophy, right? You have these people, I don't know, you have these Greek statues.
Yeah.
You have people thinking.
Yeah.
You have, these academic philosophical institutions that force people to write philosophy a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And if you write strangely, they'll just be like, no, this isn't philosophy. You need to do philosophy this way.
Yeah.
They have a certain standard.
Actually, I was talking to a fourth-year philosophy student at U Ottawa.
Okay.
And I got super excited. It was a party, and I was like, "Oh, have you read any Deleuze or?" I started reading French guys,
right.
And he was like, "No, our program stops at Hobbes." I was like,
yeah?
I'm like, you only learn what okay, in the world where you only do a bachelor in philosophy and you do that program,
yeah,
it's like the equivalent of knowing video game lore.
Yeah, but yeah, for sure. I mean, oh wow, I just moved the carpet a bit, but I mean, but even Deleuze is a vibe. It's a vibe you can get into.
Yeah, the
I think
the French dudes.
I think it matter. I think you should just. That's the kind of thing about philosophy. How do you even study that?
Mm-hmm.
How do you? It's it's just something that you do. You know, you just think about.
Yeah.
You just think about stuff, and that's like philosophy, kind of. You know, you make connections between things. You're like, whoa, and then I'm realizing this. That's philosophy. You know, that's kind of what we're doing right now. We're kind of exploring our ideas through conversation.
Yeah.
I think but like making philosophy like. That's the thing. I think philosophy in school is less of philosophy as we interpret it.
Yeah.
You know, as like this broad activity, subject, you know, all-encompassing thing, and more as a discipline. So they have to define what philosophy is.
Yeah.
And it's a discipline that's, I guess, more open to other ideas and other disciplines are, because like if you have science, you can't just venture off and study, I don't know, just like poetry, you know?
Yeah.
You can't just do that. It's not, even though I think there should be more intersection between disciplines. I think it'd be really cool if that happened, but that's kind of like a weird, it's like a big jump, because science is like a self-contained field with certain, you know, you have to do certain things that will be considered scientific.
Yeah.
Whereas philosophy, you can get away with more in philosophy, but I still think like in academia, philosophy has to have this, you know, have a vibe.
It has a floor.
Exactly.
It has a base.
Exactly. But I mean, I don't know. Like I took philosophy I took a bunch of philosophy courses when I went to school, and I thought it was pretty cool. I had a good time.
Yeah.
I had a good time. Like I think it also is really important to like teach philosophical concepts as well, because it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like the way you think.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just every thought you have is kind of dependent on the other thoughts that you have.
Yeah.
So if you were only to like learn about like math your entire life, you would only be thinking in terms of math.
Yeah, everything would make the connection back to math.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas if you study things that are more philosophy, then you'll be more of a philosophy vibe.
Yeah.
But you'll still be restricted to that vibe of philosophy.
Yeah.
You know, you won't kind of supersede that necessarily, unless you make your own genuine, unique connections and you start like really venturing off and really thinking about a lot of stuff. Anyways, but yeah, no, I think philosophy in school is pretty cool. You know, but I think the important thing in academic philosophy is like, I guess, to make that, you know, to make more of an effort to say that they're like not this broad study of philosophy that'll make you become wise and make you instantly employable because you have critical thinking skills.
Yeah.
Because ultimately you're just still learning about facts and regurgitating them in some sense. You know?
Yeah.
Like you're synthesizing them in a certain way, but you're still regurgitating this like structure that they're giving you.
Yeah. It's interesting you mentioned like the employable thing with it, because I feel like there's a shift now into like what even makes you employable, where it's like it's moving away from credentials and moving more on like an individual basis.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I was hearing Elon Musk talk about like what they look for in Tesla employees, and he just said like evidence of an extraordinary achievement.
Yeah, exactly.
So like you could be a high school graduate, but like if you've done something like cool.
I mean, that's kind of the meta now,
Yeah.
I think. But I think that like it'll still take a while for society to shift into that state, because ultimately, like if you had a university grad and you had a person who didn't graduate university, like who would you rather hire?
Yeah, there's a better chance with like the university grad.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And even if, yeah, like exactly, like, I mean, unless you're like really dedicated, you know, like I have a friend who's just like, he didn't go to college or university because he was like, you know, I don't need this. You know, this is useless to me. But he's just really into just coding. He's really into coding. He has a lot of repositories on GitHub.
Yeah.
A lot of coding projects that he made.
Yeah.
And he, you know, he's doing well. He's
Yeah.
doing well. I think it took him some time to like, you know, get up and running.
Yeah.
But I think he's doing well. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, but I think you have to be very, very disciplined.
Yeah.
You have to be very driven.
Yeah.
You know? And so if you kind of half-ass it if you have like, you know, a couple coding projects but you didn't go to school.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of, because school, the other thing about school is that it kind of shows that you can kind of do that, you know, and then you do school, then you kind of shape your brain in a certain way where, you know, employers would consider you lower risk. Whereas if you didn't go to school, like you wouldn't shape your brain into a certain way. And then employers would be like, well, who's this guy? And also, why didn't you go to school? You're less predictable in that sense. But I think if you overachieve, right? If you pump out a lot of good stuff and you didn't go to school, and employers see that, I think you can really, I think school is like ignored. You know?
Yeah.
Like you don't have to do school.
Well, okay, even on like a wider idea of achievement, right? Where it's like, so coding, and you have like individual coding products that are like proof that you know how to code, right? That'll make sense. What about like if you fixed a car from the ground up, only like figuring things out on your own, right? And then it's like, okay, it took you a year and you worked on it 4 hours a day every day, so it's like proof of your ability to like focus on something, proof of your ability to think about time versus like the reward and how long you're gonna work on something.
Exactly.
Proof of your ability to like memorize, right? Like what is achievement? And then at that point, it's like, does that make you? Is that enough to like be hireable in like something like, I don't know, because I feel like something like business, you can just learn like the terms, you can learn how the inner workings, you can get like a really loose idea of like the core concepts.
Yeah.
But it's like your actual skill to be dedicated and innovative can be proved in like such a myriad of different ways.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it all comes down to like predictability, I think.
Yeah.
That's a big part. Like, you know, I think there's just a lot of variables of a person who didn't go to school, who didn't get molded a certain way.
Yeah.
For employers, that's ultimately like, you know, it's also like very systematic, or very systemic. You have the current tradition is to employ people that have a degree or whatever, and you know, you have people like Elon Musk that are, you know, that are trying to make a new trend of making that not the case. You know, hiring people without a degree. But I think, you know, that's, you know, he's the front runner for all that, but that's not going to change for like a while, I think. Yeah. I actually think that if the meta truly changes, that you don't have to go to school to get a good job, schools will begin crumbling. Like, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, you know, I think it's, and we're nowhere near that as far as I can tell. Like, schools are still prospering pretty well.
There was a huge dropout rate in COVID amongst young men, actually.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it was like I couldn't tell you the actual statistic, but it was like a giant jump. Yeah, and like just guys being like, mostly men. Well, no, it's at the point now where universities are like, it's like 40-60 men to women. Okay, I think so. Like that's an interesting shift. And then,
so do you know how come? Like why that's happening?
There's like, I think one of the major theories is that like a classic Western education is structured around like the most efficient learner, and like women just tend to like sit still and like aren't as like hyperactive and like scatterbrained as men are. So I guess it's because like from childhood, like women are forced into this view of like, oh, you have to do things a certain way, you have to you know, like, and whereas men are more told like, oh, you can. There's like that meta of like women, you know, are forced into like this like social shape as a kid. Yeah. Whereas men as children, you know, are allowed to do whatever, you know, they need to do. Yeah. And so I guess in times of hardship, women, I guess because of that, I mean, I'm just making inferences here, are better able to, you know, cope with that. Yeah. And then is that it? Exactly. Right. And then like over 100 years, the education system would slowly gear itself to like the education system would slowly shift into like women prospering more in it because like they're the ones that, what am I trying to say here? You know what I mean? Like I'm seeing the trends. Like there's like education trends. Yeah. So then like university is like structured very similar to like all like Western education.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And it's just
Yeah.
like women do better in that situation because of like the last 100 years and like women being better learners in that situation.
Yeah.
And then it learns to make women better learners, and then to a point where like men aren't doing as well.
Yeah.
In the Western education system.
Yeah. That's interesting to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting how, like, I mean, I don't think it's a very profound phenomenon. I think it's kind of like.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's like, I don't think a lot of men are slipping. I think it's just like, I think it's enough to like actually see that like divide happen.
Yeah.
But like, it's like ultimately, I don't think it's a big deal.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And especially like it's not.
It's interesting to see like the actual core reasons as to why it's happening and like,
Yeah.
you know,
And then
all
like
that stuff.
I know I mean the men dropping out of university are just like getting jobs.
Yeah,
Like it's
exactly.
not like a depression like failure thing.
Yeah,
It's like they're just like,
exactly.
oh, what do I do? I'm just gonna get a job.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So yeah, that's fine. Like I know. Especially if you like we were saying.
Yeah. I mean, now that you mention it, like there's actually a ton of money in trades. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you don't even need to really do school. A lot of the time, you can just if you have the willingness to take risks a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, and put yourself through some. You know, you want to do things with your hands. I feel like you can get a lot of money off trades. I don't know.
Oh no.
Maybe I'm just full of shit. But like,
No, I know.
it seems like I don't know. I just see like everyone like working from home.
Yeah.
Especially in Canada with this like service economy.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the amount of people that actually do things with their hands, like, you know, it's like just seems like such an invaluable thing to me. Like, how are people who write like 4 lines of code, you know, as valuable as a person who like actually builds a thing, spends an entire day building a thing?
Yeah,
you know
knows
what I
how
mean?
a house is built.
You know, like how is that like? I guess like I don't know. Like it's just really hard for me to wrap my head around this whole like system of like what we deem valuable.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely interesting.
Yeah, I know. Like, I mean, I know a lot of people in trades, and they seem, I don't know, they all seem pretty. I don't want to make a big statement and say like they're all happy.
Yeah.
But they seem like it's just like a normal job.
Yeah.
I know a friend. I have a friend who got accepted to art school
Oh yeah.
and then dropped out to go be an electrician, and he's like, "This is the best decision I've ever made."
Wow.
Like he's just happy, like full of meaning. It's cool. He's valued in society.
Yeah,
he has
exactly.
He has a thing where it's like, I'm an electrician. Like I can do that. Like I'm needed, right?
Yeah.
Like you can point to him and be like, oh, that's an important thing that we
Exactly.
need. Right?
Yeah, I think it's extremely important for a human being
Yeah.
to actually feel needed. And I think it's extremely important. Cause like, I mean, yeah, like it's like, and I think in Europe, they recognize that actually.
Mm-hmm.
I think in like Canada and America, they recognize more like money as a statement of, you know, being needed. Like a lot of our psyche is like wrapped around the idea of money.
Yeah.
Whereas in Europe, I don't know where I heard this from, but apparently they like really value the people who actually provide tangible value to society, like electricians, like plumbers, all those kind of guys.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's very interesting. Different culture.
I know. I don't know why. You know, it's like I think pretty quantifiably the most reliable job or the most needed job is like a garbage person.
Yo,
Like
actually,
garbage men and women. Like
Yeah,
you can as like it's like I don't know what statistic would prove it, but it's like a pretty common. It's like an accepted thing.
Imagine no one. Like, there's no one to like do the
Yeah,
garbage.
no one picks up the trash.
Yo, honestly, it would be horrific. You know
Yeah,
what
it's
I mean?
fucked.
And you just need a couple of guys, like, or I guess, like, you know, managing a certain part of a city,
Yeah.
and I don't know, to do that
Yeah.
job, and then
And
like,
me,
they probably provide us like way more value than like 20 service workers put together. You know,
yeah,
in my head, you know,
or like one,
and they get paid way less.
one influencer.
Or actually, they don't get paid that like little. Actually, and now that like I actually thought they actually got paid very little.
Yeah.
Turns out they actually get paid like a decent like.
No,
salary,
yeah, that's the thing, right? So
which
it's
is
like
good. You know, it's what we should be striving.
being a custodian, or what's the
Sanitary technician.
yeah sanitary technician, right?
Yes.
Or a custodian, or anything like that, right?
The politically correct term.
It's almost like vilified. It's
Yeah.
like you can just imagine a conversation between like a parent and a kid being like, you don't want to end up like a garbage man or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But it's like they're valuable, they get paid well, it's meaningful work.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
exactly. You don't need.
It's
yeah,
good.
It's just a good job.
Yeah. I don't know why it seems maybe it is like a Western concept where we like vilify or not vilify. But
I think we're definitely returning back to valuing objectively valuable seeming jobs.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to being like, oh, look at this job. Well, I mean, I guess we've always been doing that, but like what seems valuable to us is shifting now from the intangible to the tangible.
Yeah.
Like I think like 20 years ago, or I mean even now, like you know, being like a programmer or being a scientist like is considered like really important, and it's still important now.
Mm-hmm.
But like we're the more practical, tangible jobs are definitely becoming more valuable, and so everything's kind of turning into like this stasis of like, you know, like where values are actually like values actually correspond to the actual objective value of the job.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's good.
Well, I mean, obviously the West is more individualistic, right?
Yeah.
So maybe it's like, you know, if you go to a trade school, become an electrician, it's like there's less promise of like innovate. There's less promise of doing something like brilliant in that, right?
Yeah.
You know, like it's you're not gonna. That's not like the American dream. That's not like the capitalism dream to like be to do something fucking great.
Yeah.
Right. You're just like an electrician.
Yeah.
But that's like the Western. That's like a completely like societal concept.
Exactly.
In another society, you could talk about how important electricians are and be like, oh, this is just such an integral, important person.
People don't care as much, you know.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, sure, like that's cool. There's none of that like societal, I guess, nationalistic. It's almost like nationalistic to be like, okay, these jobs are very valuable.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like if a society is devoid of, you know, a nationalistic vibe, the default vibe will be a thing that governs society, namely money, capital.
Yeah.
So then jobs that bring the most capital, and are actually those are the ones that are the most like, you know, important seeming. Even though a lot of people can recognize that a CEO earning like $10 million a year or whatever,
yeah,
you know, isn't, you know, like, come on. But like, I mean, I don't know. You can make an argument for why they do or do not deserve it, but like, I think that I don't know. Like, money definitely rules in a lot of contexts in our everyday life.
Yeah.
And
yeah, like,
yeah,
where it's kind of,
I guess,
you know, like look at how much money. If I go get a degree in computer science,
yeah,
right, and then come out and work for 4 years, I'm probably like gonna approach like 80K, 100K a year.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It's interesting because it sounds like you just said, like, how does that compare to somebody who can do something like physical?
Yeah.
You know, because it's like you are just a code monkey typing away.
Yeah, I mean, there's different. Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, some people just don't do a lot and then they get paid a lot. Like, it's just insane to me how you can just like work, just like write a couple lines of code.
Yeah.
And then you get paid. Like, where's the connection between the money?
Yeah.
Like, there's alienation of value at that point. You don't know where the money's coming from, really. You're not really. What are you doing? You're typing code into a computer.
Yeah.
How is the money even appearing in your bank account? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
You know.
Like you code something. I don't know. I mean, I guess like specific examples. Like if you're working on Instagram, you're working on like Instagram moderation.
Yeah.
You know, you're coding for like Instagram moderation,
mm-hmm.
and then. Well, I mean, okay, it's like all like just transferring a value, right? Where it's like that's a high demand job, and if that company is willing to take like part of their value and part of their like assets and pay people more to do that job because it's like a high demand job.
Yeah.
But then does it just become standard, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Where it's like in a bubble, would that job still be high demand? Or if Instagram was like, oh, we need coders for moderation, it's not a high demand job, we'll pay you $40K a year, right? But is it yeah, exactly. Is it like it's just it's like it's standard? You know, why would I go code for somebody that's gonna pay me $40K a year when I know like literally everybody else will give me like 75?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean like it's actually like, I mean, while you're talking about that, like I just had the other idea of like just like I guess how interdependent the whole system is
Yeah.
with each other. Like, you know, the only reason we have coders in the first place is because we have another facet of the system that needs the coders,
Yeah.
you know, or that needs a thing to be automated. But like, it's just kind of funny how we have so many intangible jobs. And I was actually looking at this the other day. Apparently 80% of the value of the stock market
Yeah.
is based in intangible goods. So 80% of the value of the stock market,
Yeah.
intangible goods that you can't touch. And at the end of the day, intangible goods are good for creating tangible goods. You know, maybe I'm wrong with that. Maybe there are.
So intangible, like a technology company.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Something that you can't. Or I guess intangible also. I don't know if intangible includes like media. You know, like movies.
Oh yeah, I
don't know if
think it would.
It would.
Yeah, I
But
think so.
I mean, either way, 80%. That's like a crazy number.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
just like
fucked.
things you can't, you know, touch or just 80%.
Yeah.
And then now there's this whole question of like this metaverse stuff. Like obviously, this metaverse is the next kind of step
Yeah.
into, because we've kind of the more our intangible assets increase, the more it becomes dominant.
Yeah.
The more it becomes, you know, a foreseeable idea that this metaverse, this digital land,
Yeah.
is something that people are actually going to invest in. Like it just seems weird, but it feels weird to me, but it does feel also like the logical next step.
Yeah. Yeah, like there's no way to avoid it at all. Like I think it's gonna, especially like, I mean, this is like another factor of what's happening is like we're all different, and, you
Really?
know, yeah, it's just a little bit,
Okay.
and we have different skills and strengths and weaknesses, and society is moving in a direction where people with certain strengths will always excel.
Yeah.
And people with certain weaknesses will always not excel.
Yeah.
So without something to give everybody a place, there's going to be like just a bigger and bigger and bigger divide between like whether it's class or intelligence or people or anything, right?
Yeah.
So like we can't go that way, but we're heading that way and we can't really stop heading that way, right? Like,
Yeah.
You know, if to be a good coder, if you need like, I don't know if the average IQ is like 110 or something, right? I think with college educated people, it's something like that, right?
Right.
You know, that it's like, what about people who don't have that? Yeah, it's not their fault. It's just like,
Yeah.
you know, like you can't. It's like that's an unchangeable thing. But everyone needs a place.
Well, that kind of like ties into just like accelerationism, I
Yeah.
guess. The whole idea that things are accelerating, gaps become bigger. You know, things that have things are going to get more things, and things that have not a lot of things are going to have fewer things.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like,
right.
It's just like the whole thing just becomes more and more of a vicious cycle, and not only just a vicious cycle, but like a vicious cycle that is accelerating in speed.
Yeah, because everything just endlessly concentrates towards the top.
Exactly.
So,
and that's another thing. I'm excited to see how accelerationism will like play out in our lives. Like, I'm really happy that I'm only 24. You know, like I'm so excited.
Yeah.
You look at like, you know, grandparents and older people, you know, and you just think it's insane how a lot of them were born pre-World War II.
yeah, right.
And then they just got to experience like all this stuff. But the thing is, it's the same stuff, the same phenomena is going to happen to us in a way. You know,
Yeah.
Like, we're going to experience a lot of change. Like already, I feel like I've experienced so much stuff, and I'm only 24. You know,
Yeah.
I remember Nintendo DS, the Game Boy.
Yeah.
You know, just like primitive technology. Well, relative. You know, it's still pretty cool.
Yeah.
But you know, when cars were different and things were different back then, and you know, it's just very interesting, like to see how the world is evolving into like this virtual space. And this accelerationist divide is happening. I don't know. It's very interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So like, how much things have changed already now, and even if you look at like the generational divide between people who are like 18, and us now,
Exactly.
right? Like it's weird.
Yeah, it's very strange. It's very strange. And like, I also feel like the older I'm getting, the faster time is accelerating.
Yeah. What do you,
That's also another factor.
like experientially, just like how long or how short like years feel?
Yeah, exactly. I'm getting that like big time.
I've heard that explained as like, so if you're 6,
Yeah.
a year is 1/6 of your life. But if you're 24, a year is 1/24 of your life.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
So it's just like a small proportion of your life.
Yeah.
And actually, I don't mean that does make sense.
It does make it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about it like from a perspective of like how much I remember from my life.
Yeah.
Like my memory, like, you know, I don't really remember a lot of things. Like I have limited memory space.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to remember, but maybe intuitively I remember like how long 24 years is.
Yeah.
So that's why. Maybe I have this intuition of how long that time feels like.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't actually remember all the memories that make, like my brain's not expanding actively
Yeah.
to like remember all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess it is just a matter of like having a sense of like, you know, intuition in terms of like how long time takes.
Yeah.
But
Also, just like keeping things fresh too. I find keeps the days getting longer. You know?
exactly.
Like
New experiences.
Yeah, like
Like this podcast.
Yeah, you know, here's a moment in time.
Whoa.
Right? Here's
Sure.
here's a thing that I'll think like, oh yeah, like right before Christmas I did that podcast.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like there's a stamp in my head. There's a landmark.
Yeah.
And it's like I since the beginning of the pandemic, I don't know, has that gone by fast or slow for you? Because for me, it's been like
Pandemic?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, like things have been accelerating.
That's
Yeah, but honestly, I don't think it's a bad thing. Like, I mean, I'm honestly having a blast, to be honest. Like,
yeah.
I mean, COVID has clearly been like, you know, not great, but I mean, in terms of like my situation, you know, it's been better for me than before COVID.
Yeah, same.
So,
yeah.
You know, so I mean, so I don't mind the time's accelerating. I think I don't mind time accelerating.
Yeah.
As long as I make use of the time effectively. That's about the because I don't have control over the acceleration of time, but I do have control over how I use that time.
Yeah.
And so I think like if I use that time effectively, I'll just feel happy.
Yeah.
So I think time is independent from a lot of that kind of stuff. Anyways.
Yeah, exactly. Like accepting that time will accelerate.
Mm-hmm.
It's like not. It's like okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of like fuck, you know, instead of freaking out about it, it's just like, okay, I'm getting older, and it's like you can still live life and be happy moment to moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, I got to use the bathroom, by the way.
You serious?
Yeah.
Dude, we're doing a podcast.
Yeah.
You can't just use a bathroom.
No.
I mean, if you want, you can use a bathroom, but
I can just
go. Don't do this ever again. Though. It's just
you can just move the whole thing over.
What? Okay, just go. Enough of this faux cringe. Enough of these faux cringe moments. It'll just be me and the camera. Hey guys, Kloy here. What's good? What's up? What's bad? All right. Just between.
Did you want to do
What?
the bit?
What bit?
I don't know. I was thinking like I go to the bathroom and then it just cuts to like the camera here with the mic going through the door and you inside the door, like seamless. Like I say, like in the video, I'd be like, I have to go to the bathroom, and then it just like, just transit the cameras here. You're like, the conversation just keeps going while I'm in the bathroom with the mic like through the door, and then it just cuts back with like no.
Yeah, we could do that, but maybe in a bit. Maybe in a bit. Anyways, yeah. So, I don't know what we're talking about again. We're talking about you just went to the bathroom.
Oh, accepting that time will accelerate. And being okay with that, accepting everything and being okay with it.
Right.
Yeah. It's like you mentioned how you're excited to be like only be 24 because you get to see things happen.
Yeah.
That is like an acceptance of like, oh shit's gonna get wacky, but like you can watch it happen. You don't have to like live gripped in fear of things changing.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think like. It's I mean it's cool to be 24, you know. I'm not old, but I'm not like super young to the point where I don't have any experience to compare my life to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have these ideas of just like, because I remember when I was like 14, I was like, oh my god, I'm 14. And then I remember I was like 18, I'm like, oh my god, I'm 18. And now I'm 24, I'm like, oh my god, I'm 24. You know.
Yeah.
Like it's not really this angst, but it's just more of like a realization that I'm like that age.
Yeah.
And I'm always the person at that age.
Yeah.
you know, I could be 70 and I'm like, I'm 70. And it's just like you in the moment, you're 70.
Yeah.
And you're a 70-year-old and you're just like this. That's the thing about time. It's very interesting. Like, I don't know, just like you have this, these real, like, you don't like, I feel like if you're 70, you look back, but like looking back you're not like looking back through time. You're looking back through like the memories you have as a 70-year-old, like in the state of being 70.
Yeah.
So it's like we just gradually get older and older and older. And we can't ever reverse a state. And then we are what we are at our state.
Yeah.
I find that's like pretty, that whole idea kind of scary, kind of unsettling, but also kind of just the way it is, you know?
Yeah, it's almost like comforting.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, compared to like, you know, like you'll be 70, have memories of your life in context to when you're that age in that moment.
Yeah.
And also like your experience will be like unique to that moment.
Yeah.
And it'll just still be you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, that's the way things
sure.
are right now.
For sure.
You know?
I mean, yeah, I mean, there's some integrity that it's you. It's just like, I guess in reference to, yeah, I guess you just accept it. I guess the reason it's kind of scary to me is because, like, you know, if, you know, that realization that we are a certain age, a certain point in time.
Yeah.
You know, there's only so many times we could do that. And like, you know, and every single time I have this realization, I'm like older.
Yeah.
You know, and I can kind of like understand my mind. I kind of remember my mindset when I made earlier realizations, when I was 14, when I was 20.
Yeah.
I made these realizations and I understand my mindset then. And I realized that it's not like, it's different, but it's still like me.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just like this vehicle that's going through time. And I guess like the reason why it's scary is because of death. That's probably why it's scary.
Yeah.
But really, like, you know, it's also, I guess it is also beautiful because it's just like, it is what it is.
Yeah. I feel, see, I was really into like, you know, terror management theory.
No, what is that?
That's like basically everything that we do is to like put more degrees of separation between us and like our mortality.
Okay.
To the point where like society is like, we're so scared of our own end that we're like, everything is like this idea of legacy, right?
Right.
At its core.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like to the point where it's completely subconscious.
Yeah, like even like, I guess you can even argue like the whole idea of having children is that.
Yeah, legacy, like society is legacy. Like all the art we make, everything's legacy.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like this, it's like an abstraction of like completely not existing.
Oh, that is very interesting.
But
yeah,
when you look at, that was like the book that mentions that was written in the 70s. If you look at Buddhism, for example, right? Like that, those ideas do not apply at all.
That is interesting. Yeah.
It's a completely different concept of like what death is and what death means and how you should face death.
Yeah.
To the point where like death isn't like a feared thing. Like, and there's plenty of people who don't fear death at all from like a very comfortable, like philosophical standpoint of like, I've thought about it and like, yeah, it's really not that scary.
Yeah. I mean, there's a philosopher, who actually wrote a ton of books about how he doesn't care about death and how it's not like a, you know, but then when he turned the ripe young age of 20 or 98 or whatever, he was like, actually death, I'm scared. You know?
Oh, I saw that.
I think you can't decouple. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You can't.
I can't say that now. I'm 20. I'm 20.
It's hard to decouple. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think logically you're right. And it is interesting to see it from, I think that's the right approach people should have with death. Like the fear itself of death is not an inherent thing. It's like we don't fear death because of death itself, but rather because of just like we want to keep on these cycles. We want to keep giving birth to things. Like we exist at this point we are now because we kept doing that. We kept following these cycles. We kept like reproducing. We were kind of escaping death in that sense. So the idea of death, even on an individual level, is scary. Yeah, is scary to us because we're kind of breaking apart from the societal meta of death. Yeah, it's very interesting to think about, actually.
Yeah,
But yeah, I guess like if you get older, when push comes, like I feel like I don't know, like I'm not sure. Like I think a lot of old people are actually scared of dying. You know, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, you get old and then you just kind of stop caring. But I think you still have that primal fear. You still have that. I mean, it's natural. I think it's natural to fear death. You know, it's not.
Well, actually, I looked at. I mean, this is a small study.
Right.
I had very bad like health anxiety for a long time,
Right.
and would like always try to try to like think about death a lot and try to figure things out. I looked at a study from there's a bunch of seniors' homes, and there was like the 70 to 79 age group, the 80 to 89, the 90 to 99.
Yeah.
And with every age group, they feared death less and less.
Interesting.
And the 90+ year olds it was like 3% of them feared death.
Really?
And the 3% of them had regrets. So it's like everyone with regrets feared death. And then like the other like 97% had no regrets and didn't fear death. And they would say shit like, yeah, I've like done a lot. I've like lived my purpose. I'm okay with dying. One of them was like, I want to get it over with. I'm starting to feel like a burden, and was like
That's the other thing.
like
yeah,
dark
it's
comedy, like laughing about
if
it.
If we were to go back to this whole electrician example, it's like this whole idea of feeling used, or being useful in society.
Yeah,
it's like once you get to that age, you get so old that naturally you have this, instinct that you're not useful anymore. I mean, how could you be? If you're that old, your body's deteriorating. Everything's deteriorating about you.
Yeah,
you start to realize that. And that's the other thing. Like, it's like you want to do extrinsic good. You want to do good for other people.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing about you have like all these billionaires, right?
Mm-hmm.
That accrue a bunch of money.
Yeah.
But a lot of them become philanthropists and create trust funds and charity funds.
Yeah.
Well, mostly to launder money and stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel like a big part of why they do that is to kind of help people or not even help people, but or to solidify their image to other people.
Yeah.
To make sure they're remembered as. That's good. Anyways, kind of cool, man. This whole death thing.
I know.
Very radical.
I think at this age, I think if I could pick a project to work on my whole life, it would be to make others not fear death. Just try to get to that point.
Show it up. Never mind. I'm not gonna say that. That's good. That's a good idea.
Oh, you mentioned the video of the philosopher who wrote all the books about death. And then for context, it's like Vice, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think it might be Vice. I don't remember exactly.
It's like a Vice mini documentary about this philosopher who throughout his career wrote books about why you shouldn't fear death. And then he's 98 in the video, and he's so scared of dying, he's just breaking down crying talking about it. But he's 98, and he's like, what was it all for? Freaking out, right? But it's the realization that it's never has been for anything and never will be for anything. Yeah. But and realizing that from the beginning.
Yeah.
There's nothing we're working towards, right? If you look at everything keeps going forward, but nothing's gonna there's nothing at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's all right, because you can just instead of pretending or living in the illusion that what you do is for something greater than yourself, there is no higher point of it. It's all just
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just all to kind of satiate your emotions, your emotional desire for things, this emotional desire to provide extrinsic good.
Yeah,
is still an emotional desire that you have. You want to make up reality objectively better if you have that emotion to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not a matter of actually making objectively good that'll make you happier. It's a matter of thinking you did objective good that'll make you happier.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. And then making things better is a moment to moment thing.
Yeah,
it's not a project. It's not a thing where it's what was it all for?
Yeah.
Right? You don't even need to ask that question, because moment to moment, if you improve the well-being of people around you and as much as you could and you acted within that, then it never was for anything except for the moment.
Exactly.
And then it's fine, you just lived a fulfilled life.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So
but even if you live an unfulfilled life, but then you fulfill in the last second, like, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
As long as you satiate that feeling of, like, I don't know, then you have, like, I guess, yeah, like you have a bunch of moments where you're feeling kind of unfulfilled. But like, I'm also, I don't want to like go down rabbit hole here, but like this whole idea of just like happiness and sadness, like, is sadness objectively bad or happiness objectively good? Like, is being unfulfilled objectively bad? You know what I mean? We have these like axioms, and like, I mean, it makes sense that being fulfilled is clearly better
Yeah.
than being unfulfilled.
Yeah.
But does that really matter? You know, does that really matter in itself? Like, but I guess like if you're to choose one on an instinctual level, you'll obviously choose the fulfilled one, which is all what matters. It's all about our gut instincts on these things.
Well, it works into like, I mean, I feel like I should talk to like more old people.
Oh yeah.
And kind of figure this out more. But it's like, do we fear death, or do we fear like, you know, imagine you're on you're 81 on your deathbed, you have like a month left to live from something, and you're just like trembling in fear the whole time, like overcame with regret and fear and anxiety about your own death and your own life, and completely unfulfilled. That's what we fear. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like this idea that like we're gonna approach the end of our lives and be like, oh my fuck, I didn't do anything. Yeah. You know? So in that sense,
and I think logically it makes sense not to fear that. Yeah. Because you can just, once you approach that age, you can just, but like, because it doesn't matter logically what you do, but on an emotional level, you need to know that you accomplish things. Yeah. You know, but it's just weird how I can't decouple the logic from the emotional part. Like, I have to actively do things to make the emotional part of me fulfilled. Yeah. But I can't logically be like, okay, well, it doesn't matter if I'm, unfulfilled now because I can fulfill myself later. And it's just, and what does it really mean to be fulfilled and unfulfilled in the first place? You know, I can't logically justify this. I just have to do things that are according to my gut instinct. You know?
I wish dying people would talk more. I wish I wish there was like is there a podcast that exists that's like someone dying of cancer where they just talk about how they feel like once a week? That's that's probably that's a good idea.
That's probably, man.
Like, someone should do that. Cool, because I mean, and death, like in like so many Eastern cultures, death is like a ritual. It's like this achievement of a fulfilled life. Yeah, it's like dying old. It's not even seen as like this tragic, scary thing that we pin it as in the West. So, and I feel like that's wise because there's so many wise people who would like talk about the idea of death constantly, and it was like such an accepted thing that was publicly talked about. Everyone had a concept of what it was. It wasn't like hush hush, right? And we need that again. I don't know. I feel like we need people like really talking about death, really openly talking about death. It's like, I just imagine if your grandfather was like, I'm dying soon. Everyone's like, oh, tell us about that. And he's like, this is how it feels, right? If you were like 5 years old and you heard that conversation, exactly. You know, that's helpful. Yeah. Instead of just like, oh fuck.
Instead of just being like, oh no, he's a bad vibe. No.
Well,
I mean, clearly it's not. It's clearly not a great vibe. You know, it just feels our gut. Because the thing is, we react on our gut instincts. You know. And it's weird. It's weird what phenomena shape our gut instincts. Yeah. Probably from the experiences that we have as children. Because it's strange how there's this divide, you know, in Eastern and Western cultures, where Eastern cultures, I guess, are more, they have a better view on death and a more relaxed view on death than Western cultures. You know, but it's interesting to see where that all stems from. Does it stem from being a child and being exposed to just, you know, being exposed to the idea that death is a bad vibe? You know, I don't know. I mean, ultimately, I think that is the right approach, though. I think, you know, if it's inevitable, might as well get comfortable with it. And I think people are comfortable with it for the most part until they actually have to face it. In which case, you know, a lot of people don't take it. I mean, I don't know how I would take it, to be honest, if I realize I'm going to be dying soon. But
I know. I mean, the only thought that gives me solace in that is I would figure out how to take it in the moment. Yeah. Right. Like, it's not like everyone. There's been millions of people who have died from cancer in the past like 10 years who have all faced it. Right. It's doable. It's doable to take it with stride. Yeah. And knowing that, I feel like I could figure it out at the time, but you're right. Like I can't speak on like I have no concept of what.
Yeah,
it'd be like.
I mean, I mean that's the for me it's like, yeah, it's like the ultimate divide,
Yeah.
experience versus theory.
Yeah,
Massive divide.
well, I guess I also try to imagine it like nothing changed. Like if someone was like, "Oh yeah, like you have cancer, you're gonna die," it's like I was always gonna die, and then trying to like keep that in context constantly.
Yeah.
Like always thinking about like that.
Yeah.
Or thinking about right now like that. Like I'm like it's the same thing as like right now I'm gonna die, right?
Yeah.
And nothing changes. Like I'm always gonna die. Death is always there. So it's like holding on to that and like reminding yourself of it is important.
Yeah. Because hopefully when you become of that age,
Yeah.
it'll make death way more tolerable.
Yeah. It's like okay,
Maybe.
I was always gonna die.
Yeah, exactly.
I had another thing I was gonna say.
But yeah, I love coming near the end of a podcast on a very tangential note like death.
Yeah.
All things come to an end. All podcasts have to come to an end.
Yeah. It's like whether it was the very beginning or right now, the podcast was always gonna end.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a podcast, guys. Do you have anything else you want to say, Sea Salt Moses, before we conclude, before we wrap up the very first episode of this thing?
No, cut and dry.
Cut and dry.
Yeah.
Alrighty. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next time.